Welcome to Basic Events in Alexio Short Course. In this course, we'll look at the what, the when, and the where of creating an event. We'll also look at viewing the events that you have on your calendar. Let's jump right in. By creating an event, we'll return to this view and others that will help us see all the events that we end up with on our church calendar. To create an event, you select in the upper left-hand corner of any time parameter view the Add New Event option. Again, our focus will be on the what, the when, and the where tab. We will cover in a later course the other details that can be denoted. We'll spend a bit of time in some of the other ones here in this basic level course. The first decision that you'll need to make related to an event is whether it is a special event or a standard event type. The standard event types, some of them hopefully look familiar. You should have watched, we denoted it as a prerequisite to this course, the basic course on involving people. People can be involved in classes, groups, and ministries. Those are all on the Involvement tab. You can choose to place on your event calendar, your church event calendar, you can choose to place those classes, for example, on your calendar. My church has Bible Discovery and on down, and if I want to place the meeting time and date and location of that class on my church calendar, I can do that. A class can exist without being on the event calendar, and the same goes for groups. If you remember, we place people in groups on the Involvement tab. The same thing goes here. If you would like to record that the Branch Creek Life Group that is hosted by the Bates family, that it meets on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, you can do that. But you do not have to do that, nor is it a requirement that you do it. Nor will it happen automatically. So you cannot assume that if you've identified this group or your administrator has gone into the administration area and set this group up, and in that area you've indicated that this group meets on Tuesdays at 7, that's simply a point of reference. For it to be on the event calendar, you must use what we are in, which is the event editor, and place that event on the calendar. So for now, I'm going to continue this course, but I'm going to use a special event. So I'm going to close this up. Excuse me, I'm going to switch it back to special event. I'm going to give my event a name. It's a good idea to describe the event. There's a quick note here, a did you know note, that just indicates that if you leave this blank, it's fine. It's not a required field, but you are missing an opportunity for a bit of promotion. If you set that you want this event to show in the mobile app or in the portal, the description you place here will follow it. If I don't do that, it's simply just going to be listed as talent show. So I am going to put in a description here. You do need an event owner. My event owner is defaulting to me because I'm the person doing the entry, although I can select someone else to be the event owner. People are enabled to be event owners on their general info tab in the people section. I'm going to go ahead and leave myself as the owner. Filter tags will be useful but are not required. When we close out and save this event that we're creating, we can use tags as a way to restrict what is displaying in the calendar. Okay, we have our what filled out. We're going to turn our attention to when. The when can be anything from as basic as just saying the event happens on this day at this time and lasts until this time, or you can go a little bit further. The go a bit further would be, and this is nice, if you know, we all know that events can't just be stacked right up next to each other. You need time to set the room for the next event. So if I want to create a buffer before and after, I can do that. Then down here is where you can engage whether this event repeats. Most of them are obvious, so I will not comment on them other than the two that indicate advanced. What that simply is indicating is that the repeat isn't just going to be on a single day. It's going to repeat on Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, Sunday. It allows for that. If you choose weekly, it's just going to assume that you want it to repeat on the same day every single week. Okay, we've got a what for this event. We've got the when for this event. You may have noticed that we have a red light up here, and it's telling me this event cannot be published because there's no rooms selected. Now that we turn our attention to the Where tab, we'll get a green light so that we can really publish our event. Selecting a room is something that depends on having rooms set up in the first place. In my case, I am looking at a structure here that says we have a campus, which is what I identify here as the Mannheim campus, and then I have different rooms at the Mannheim campus. And I'll indicate that this talent show is going to take place in the we're going to set a stage up in the parking lot. So I'm just indicating that it is taking place in the parking lot. The rooms that have this denotation are indicating that that room is currently in use at the time that I am selecting for this event to take place. So that icon indicates that the room is being used. In my case, I'm allowing that particular room to be double booked. Now, that in most cases doesn't make sense. I have it set up that way just purely for instructional purposes so that you can see that that concept exists. If you hover over, it will tell you what events are using it, but it also does indicate that that room can be double booked. Now, that's different. This particular room is being used, and that room, when the room was identified and defined, that room was set so that it cannot be double booked. And also, the room isn't in a status of having to have approval before it's used. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be, it's not going to do a scheduling piece here. You can set up that rooms have to be approved before they're used. For me, right now, mine are not. I'm trying to keep it simple because events is and can be an overwhelming topic to tackle for your church. But it doesn't need to be. It's powerful. Powerful always means there's going to be lots of options that can be engaged. But it's at its most very basic level, the event calendar can simply be a what, a when, and a where so that you can look at on one screen all the things going on at your particular church. Let's do that right now. Let's save our event, go back to our calendar, and talk about viewing events a bit. I'm viewing the calendar on a monthly view. When you first load and come into the events area, it always defaults to be on today's date. So you'll see the events going on today at your church. Here's our talent show. I created it for the day here, September 2nd. If you look at it on a monthly view, which is more typical that you're just trying to get a sense of what's going on over the month or perhaps over the week, the color coding really comes into play in that case, and so does the filtering. So if I am looking to just see, we'll go with what we chose, which is special events. What special events are taking place this week? Notice as I do that, items are dropping off of the calendar. Well, we've narrowed it down quite a bit. We only have the talent show going on. We'll engage a couple of other things just so we have more options here. You can also print, and your filters will stay in place. I've again returned to, I'm showing everything, but if I don't need ministry team meetings to be a part of my calendar that I want to print, and I want to take off small group meetings, I can do that. Now I've just got certain items, and if I choose to print, the system will respect the filters that I've placed on it. And now I'm just seeing this week's calendar for the event types I've selected. If I want to duplicate an event, I can do that. That can really help with data entry. So if I'm creating a series of classes that all have a lot of similarity, it could be very useful to duplicate. I'll right-click and select to copy this event. Maybe it's the scenario that we're doing a talent show at our Mannheim campus or our, one of our campuses, and we're also going to do another talent show at another location. So in my case, I have a campus called Mannheim, and I'll indicate that this is the talent show taking place at that location, and I can also go and make sure to select a different room, because if you remember, my rooms are broken out by campus. One of the things to note when you are talking about copying an event, It copies over some things, but not everything. So for example, it does not copy over if indeed you set that up as an event that recurs over some frequency. That doesn't get carried over in the copy. It also doesn't carry over an area that we did not go to earlier, which is the publicity tab. The publicity tab has a lot to it. We won't talk about all of it, but we'll talk about the really basic things. In many cases, you're looking to create events and then get them out onto your portal and your mobile app. That won't happen unless you come to the publicity tab and select Alexio Portal and Alexio Mobile. One final thing that we can do that will really kind of just add a little nicety to our event calendar, and especially displaying it in Portal and Mobile, is to go to the Graphics tab. And rather than using the default images, I can go and select a more appropriate image. Our goal here in the Basic Events class is to keep it simple. And really, the event calendar can be as complex or as elaborate as you need it to be. At its most basic level, it is a great place for just keeping track of everything that's going on at your church. Where you can take it is that it can also be a vehicle where you're setting up things that can be checked into, things that are available on the mobile app, and a variety of other tools. What we'll get into in great detail later is registering for events and paid events. That's it for basics. Thanks for watching this Alexio short course.